Hi, anyone and everyone. This is Kim, the Humble Hermit from Come As You Are Oracle. I'm going to do the collective for today. It is Tuesday, March 30th. Wait, is it the 30th or is it the 31st? And my phone never tells me anymore, by the way. I was telling my friend this morning. My phone's ridiculous. Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. You may follow me on the Talk the Tube, my blog, or not. Totally up to you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it doesn't fit, don't make it fit. If some of it fits, God's kiss, we love that for you. Whatever doesn't fit, leave it on the table for someone else. We're going to use the Price of Love Oracle by Crystal Banner. You can find this at kaleidodope.com. She also has an Etsy shop. So, Love Oracle, collective reading, take how it resonates. That was fast. We got 3 on the table. Six on the table. Hold on. Oh, shoot. 7, because we had 1 hidden. Oh, sorry, my nose is like itchy. Let's do 2 more shuffles. Last shuffle. Yep. All right. We got 8 with bottom of the deck. Let me show you what we got. We got grief and sadness. Robotic. Those 2 cards keep coming out. Soulmate recognition. Euphoria. We got love. Reciprocity. Unfinished business. And bottom of the deck, deja vu. Feminine, masculine, take how it resonates. Here's the deal. I think somebody keeps feeling like they're meeting their soulmate. They're in a soulmate connection. And it just keeps never panning out. Like somebody just constantly feels like they're being thrown into these connections hoping that it's soulmate, and it's not. But I'm just going to say this. It very much gives like somebody not using their intuition, somebody not using their discernment. Like why? Why is somebody not doing that? And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just, let's say you get into 2 connections, right? And you think that both of them are a soulmate connection. And let's say within like 6 months, a year, each one of those just flops. Don't you think when the next person comes along, you'd have a little more sense of what this could be? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. It just very much gives like somebody being naive. It reminds and I'm not gonna lie. You guys know I don't lie. It reminds me of me when I was younger. Like when I was God, I didn't really start dating until I was like, pardon me, like 30, 31. Like seriously. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 30. If you follow, if you subscribe, I've talked about it before. And I dated very briefly before I met my ex-husband. And then him and I were together for 3 years, got engaged, got married in the same year, bought our house the next year, got divorced like almost 7 years later. Well, technically we got divorced more than 7 years later, but we were separated after like 6.5 years, I want to say. Yeah. Like I was naive. I was naive in a certain respect. Okay. Not necessarily about every single thing that would go on in a relationship, but just, I guess, relationships in general, because I just hadn't been in them. Like, I mean, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 30. I didn't really date until I was 30. So I didn't really have a lot of experience. But it reminds me of that. Like, whoever this is reminds me of that. Like, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be like a younger person. It could be an older person that hasn't dated in a while. And then all of a sudden they start dating and they get into these little connections thinking, oh, this is the one. This is the one. Okay, but do you meet? And again, it doesn't matter, man or woman. Every person you meet, you think they might be the one? Because I'm just going to be honest, that's not how I feel about people I meet nowadays at all. And I'm not saying that I haven't had crushes, right? Like, I was in love with the guy at work, and before him I had a couple crushes on guys at work, people that I knew, guys I knew from through friends and stuff. But I never like just automatically assumed, oh, that's my soulmate. Oh, that's my soulmate. Oh, that's my soulmate. And again, a soulmate doesn't even necessarily need to be a lover. Your soulmate could be your mom. Your soulmate could be your dog. Like, your soulmate could be your favorite ice cream of all time. I mean, let's just be honest here. So it gives a certain naivete is a how naivete. Um, like somebody just like, because it's like somebody's getting into these connections and they're always feeling euphoria and they're always feeling love and they're always looking for reciprocity, but then they're always left feeling like the connection's unfinished and it's just like the last one. Discernment, intuition, right? There was a guy that I had a crush on. Well, it's tomorrow's going to be April 2026. So probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago, before the guy at work that I fell in love with, this gentleman worked for a little bit. He actually had hurt his foot before he started work, and ended up leaving for a little bit. I think he had surgery. I want to say he had surgery, was out for a little bit, came back. Okay, when he came back, I really didn't think he was coming back because he had only worked like maybe 2, 3 months. Well, no, he probably did his 90 days, so maybe 3 or 4 months, then went on leave for his surgery. I think the surgery was through his past employer. Like, they were taking care of everything. So when they told him he had to have surgery, he had to have surgery. Um, I'm assuming if they were paying for it, because he didn't get hurt at our current place of employment. But anyway, I remember meeting him when he first started, and then he was gone for a while. I'm trying to think, like 4 months, 6 months he was gone. He was gone a while. And then he came back, and I remember when he came back, like, I was just like, oh, he's back. And people are like, who? Who is that? Like, other people in the department, because he's in our department, other people in the department, like, totally didn't even remember that he existed. He was there for such a short time and then gone for such a while that they were like, who? Who came back? Um, and it wasn't until he came back that I actually developed a crush on him, to no avail. Because again, you guys, I told him I had a crush on him. He wasn't interested. That's fine. That's completely fine. Him and I are friends now. We've been friends for, again, probably a year and a half, 2 years. It's like well, maybe like a year and 9 months ish. Because I want to say he came back in summer. maybe end of summer. So him and I have been friends for a while. And now he's training to be like in management, basically, leadership role, and has been for a while. But really nice guy for the most part. Sometimes he gets a little anxious, which kind of annoys me, but whatever. Everybody's their own person. Um, I knew he wasn't interested, but I wasn't going to lie to him either, like, hey, I'm interested in you, because there's nothing wrong with throwing it out there to see if somebody else is interested. You never know. And obviously I fell in love with the younger guy who that whole thing was a fiasco. It's still a fiasco if you ask me, because I'm pretty sure there's still some BS going on there in the background. I don't know. Anyway, I try to have as little to do with him and the two friends as possible at this point, because I just think there's a lot of gossip there between the three of them. And when I was friends with them, especially the two ladies after him, I think they were relaying information, personal information about me to him, and I don't have patience for that kind of stuff. So that's I just like I'll just extricate myself from all three of them, and they can be friends, not be friends. I don't care. I have other friends in the department. It's not a big deal. And totally different age brackets. Like, I can totally go be friends with people my own age. Seriously. It's fine. Um but I I don't like the okay, so like the guy that I fell in love with, yeah, I thought maybe a possible soulmate connection. And even though it wasn't reciprocated, that doesn't mean it still couldn't have been a soulmate. Like, maybe we were just supposed to be friends and I looked at it a different way. Now, the first guy who's now in the leadership role, I never just assumed he was my soulmate. Like, oh, I like him, I have feelings for him, he's my soulmate. And it's funny because the only other person that I ever thought was possibly my soulmate was my ex-husband. My ex-husband and the guy I fell in love with at work last year. Those are the only two people like I ever thought was my soulmate, possibly. Yeah. Like the guys I dated after my divorce, no. The few guys that I dated before I met my ex-husband, no. Nope. And I actually almost feel like, because I think I told you guys when I was younger, when I was like 18, 19, I worked at Dominic's, which is a grocery store that ended up going out of business. They got bought out. Um, they got bought out by what we call Mariano's. Well, I think some of them got bought out, and I think the name got bought out, but a lot of the Dominic's locations got taken over by like Jules and stuff. Anyway, I had a thing for this guy that I worked with when I worked at Dominic's. He was younger. Okay, so apparently I've always liked the younger gentleman. Nothing ever happened between the two of us. He ended up dating my boss. Now, granted, I was 18, 19. He was like 17, 18, right? Or somewhere around there. Um, he ended up dating my female boss, who at the time was like 40 something, 46, 47, 45. I don't know, 42. She was in her 40s. Anywho, I never thought of him as a soulmate, but the funny thing is now when I look back on that connection, I almost feel like maybe it was like a twin flame kind of thing, because I almost feel like that was meant to teach me something, and I think it did. I mean, honestly, I think it did, because like I kind of blindly ran toward that. He was the first guy I ever really had a crush on, fell in love with. But I never like after the fact, it's not like I was, oh, he was a soulmate. He's just, like on to the next soulmate. Like I don't know. I don't know. I've never really been that naive where I thought every person I met was a soulmate. Uh I should say like a relationship soulmate, a lover soulmate, cuz again, a soulmate could be a parent, a kid, your dog, you guys know. All I can say is if somebody is getting into connections and believing that every connection they're in is a soulmate connection, like a lover's soulmate connection, somebody needs to go within, meditate, ask for guidance. Somebody needs to get out of that because it is highly, highly unlikely that someone would be out there getting into connections and every single one is a soulmate. I mean, really, when you think about it, a lot of people get into connections that they're just not even supposed to be in. How is that a soulmate? Like, how would you think that that's a soulmate? Sorry, my phone is lighting up over here. Um, I would hope that somebody would come to the realization that they just need to use more discernment. Need to use their intuition because, again, not everybody is going to be that for you. And I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, everybody's going to be mean to you, everybody's going to not want you. You can get into perfectly good connections with friends, family, lovers, and they're not soulmates, and that it just amicably ends, right? It doesn't always have to be a bullshit relationship. But what I'm saying is to think that every single connection, every single lover is a soulmate, it's not at all likely. It's just like how, and no offense to anybody out there, but you know, still to this day, the twin flame thing with people. Like, oh, they're my twin flame. They're my twin flame. How many twin flames do you think you get? like how, and how many do you want? Because a twin flame connection is not at all anything to aspire to have, honestly. They're very difficult connections, and they more than likely you're not going to last in a twin flame connection. It's not going to pan out. More than likely it doesn't. And this is just me personally. You got a lot of people out there, a lot of readers too, that are like, "Oh yeah, I met my twin flame and we're great. And we got married and we got kids and da 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 da." Okay, no offense, probably not your twin flame. Probably not your twin flame. Just saying. Probably not. And that's just my own personal belief. I believe very, very rare for a twin flame connection to actually follow through and two people actually stick it out and stay together. Because most of the time, that's just a lesson. That 90% of the time, 95% of the time, that's just a lesson. It's meant to teach you something, and it's meant to teach them something, right? It goes both ways. So I think it's a little somebody's doing themselves a disservice by constantly thinking everything, oh, it's meant to be, they're a soulmate, it's meant to be. Sometimes people are just supposed to be a one night stand. Sometimes people are just supposed to be friends with benefits. There is information there. There is learning there. There is growth. Growth comes from that, right? Balance comes from that. Abundance comes from that. I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want to keep sounding. I feel like I'm sounding negative and admonishing, and I don't want to be, but at the same time, like I feel like somebody out there needs to hear it. And again, everybody has their own beliefs, and that's perfectly fine. Seriously, somebody needs to like Wake up. Because it's just not good for oneself to always constantly think like, oh, this is my person, this is my person. And maybe it's just the pessimist in me. I very rarely think anybody is my person, especially nowadays. All right, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope it resonates. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope, if anything, you were entertained. I hope you all have a fabulous Tuesday evening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.